morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And I've been doing video after video covering article after article, update after update for patch 11.1 and what are Blizzard's plans and what are their actions going to be to improve the game and bring players back and breathe life back into aspects of the game that are starting to see declining trends in terms of participation. I think in the last article I covered a bit with PC Gamer interviewing Ian Hazakostas. There's a lot of criticism of saying like these are some fluff words. He's just saying good things and nothing's going to come of this. Well, since that interview, they've just posted a big update for Mythic Plus that we're going to be covering in today's video to see if now the actions are matching the words as far as bringing the game in the direction that they say they want to be bringing it in. And there are some really cool new transmogs also that have been data mined moving into the future that I'm going to be showing you on this video as well. And if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, then make sure to smash the subscribe button. So the War Within Season 2 dungeon continues on PTR today. The test period will start Tuesday, January 14th at 10 PST and ends January 21st at 10 PST. Please note that the test period may be adjusted in the event of technical difficulties. This week is focused on the Season 2 War Within dungeons, the Priory of the Sacred Flame, the Dark Flame Cleft, the Cinder Brew Meadery, and the Rookery. We've recently been focused on making adjustments to two parts of the Mythic Plus experience in Season 2 of the War Within. First, we'd like to slow the pace of combat. So one thing that I've seen from the community as criticism is that, one mistake on a cooldown trade and boom, the group is wiped, on a plus 10 key or higher. The group is wiped, the group falls apart, everybody's flaming each other. And obviously that's like worst case scenario experience in that instance. So this type of language here makes me think that they want to move away from tank busters. They want to move away from one-shot mechanics. And I think that's really important to allow for more coordination when groups are faced with dangerous casters. We've generally increased the cast times of more dangerous spells and removed, simplified, or slowed the casts of others. This is also likely going to reduce the dependency on add-ons, especially if something was like deadly and almost bordering instant cast where you need a weak word to pop up on your screen that goes, wah, wah. You guys need to stop this mob right now or the run is over basically at this point. So giving you a lot more time. They're being more generous in this sense with casters in your backline, which I think a lot of players have seen. This has been like the main gripe as far as building the group and going through these types of combat situations. Secondly, we've been reviewing the frequency of tank buster mechanics throughout our dungeons. We'd like to generally reserve this gameplay for more dangerous creatures and dungeon bosses. So we've removed some instances of tank damage that we felt were inappropriate. So they still want the tank buster mechanic, that main interaction of like, oh my god, the boss is casting his really big omega spell. I've got to get ready for this and make sure I've got my big block available in order to stop it, which I can see, the value of that type of gameplay. But if it's on literally every single trash pull that you're doing the entire dungeon and it's just like, it's probably going to be jarring at that point. I also think that they underestimate the value of attrition style healing in PvE. So as a healer, just having your group kind of slowly rotting down and they need you to continuously pump healing into them in order to keep them alive. Because I saw Jack uploaded a video criticizing that basically 4 out of the bosses in the Mythic Raid can be cleared without a healer now at this point, because the only damage that goes out are in these very specific windows of time that if you have a cooldown for, you can deal with. And it's a pass-fail mechanic, and then you don't even need a healer anymore. So perhaps just adding more rot focused damage into content, not these big hard hitting spells and tank buster one shots. It's the same issue in PvP, right? People didn't like getting one shot by those mechanics, so bring up some of the sustained damage of the monsters, so that way the healer's always needed and always actively engaging with the fights in a healthier manner than just, oh god, I guess I woke up and now you're dead type of situation, because it's always very jarring, especially if damage is really low outside of those windows, because you just fall asleep, you just get bored. And then it's a big wake-up call when that hits you later. This week's test will showcase some of these changes, but we'll continue reviewing data and listening to feedback over the course of the PTR. So what are they doing exactly? So for the Priory of the Sacred Flame, Ardent Paladins Consecrates will have a precast visual and a 2.75 second cast time. It's much slower, and it gives you a little bit of a setup leading into it. And they will no longer use Seal of Light's Fury. For Zealous Templar, they will no longer use Templar Strike. They will no longer use Divine Storm. Arathi Footman no longer uses Mortal Strike. So this is the thing, is like, the players don't want a completely docile experience. You know, you don't want to go through the dungeon. There's no threat. There's no danger the entire run through. It's finding a balance on the spectrum between I'm getting one shot to like, okay, this is like, I got to keep up with the damage here because we're going to die if I, drop maybe like 5 globals, as opposed to if I drop 1 global in this one instance at all times. I don't think people want a boring experience that you can't fail. We've already seen that with when they experimented with that style of design with Warfronts, where you can't fail. I don't think that's what players ultimately want. They just want something that's a little bit more in the middle, not the one-shot, punishing thing, a little bit more of the other side where it's like attrition style healing. So hopefully these nerfs aren't going to just completely neuter the experience, but do note that this seems like a very long testing period, so they're probably going to take that knob from one side of the spectrum around a lot and try and figure out where it needs to be. I'm a musician and I have to tune my saxophone when I play it, and there's a specific way I got to tune it so it's in tune and it sounds good. If I play it too sharp, it sounds bad. If I play it too flat, it sounds bad. You got to get perfectly in tune, and you got to spend a lot of time doing that. That is what this should be considered for their Mythic Plus design. Dark Flame Cleft minecart event. The minecart's candlelight now burns more slowly. Default light radius increased. The light radius of candles now have a visual indicator. Shuffling Horror no longer uses Shadow Smash, and they reduced the area effect size of Suffocating Darkness. Now this Escort, when you did this as not a Mythic Plus dungeon, I was thinking this is going to be so tilty in Mythic Plus. So they're definitely getting ahead of that, I think, with the changes they're making here. Cinder Brew Meadery. Tasting room attendance thirsty duration changed from unlimited to 20 seconds. Careless Hobgoblin's reckless delivery cooldown has been increased, and the Royal Jelly Purveyor's honey volley cooldown increased. So again, just making it less threatening, less frequency, to make it less punishing, hopefully on like the +10 level of difficulty. For the Rookery, Kyrios now has an increased hitbox range during Lightning Torrent. Cursed Rookguard no longer uses Crackling Crush. Void Cursed Crusher no longer uses Implosion. So a lot of big changes to the Rookery. During this test period, you'll be able to acquire and customize Mythic Plus keystones by talking to the keystone vendor in Stormwind or Orgrimmar, and the nearby dungeon teleports NPC will assist you in transportation. We look forward to hearing your feedback. I kind of doubt that will be something that goes into the live realms where you can like build your key and pick which dungeon you want it to be, because they use it as a way of making sure that all the dungeons are ran, because if you can just pick whatever you want to run, you're going to pick whatever is the fastest, easiest dungeon with the best loot, and then every other dungeon is not going to get ran. So I kind of doubt that that's going to change there, but I do like that this is like, incrementally more and more change, more communication, more dialogue with the community, more interaction, looking at things that have been pain points and improving them. It's this style of development that I think could likely put Mythic Plus in a really good position. I'm honestly kind of just sitting here a little bit jealous and envious, because I feel like just a little bit of a post about PvP and the ranking system and MMR and possible plans for altering it or changing it in the future, because I think that is the main issue with PvP, is rating and MMR in the current system. Just completely scrap it out of the game, put a new ranking system into the game, one where people don't have false expectations of where they should be, because if you're a player who played 2 expansions ago and you got 2700 rating really easily, but now in this patch 2700 rating is really hard to get relative to that, and you don't understand that, you just came back to the game and you're thinking, why am I 2000 rated? I used to be 2700 rated. This seems really off. I'm kind of getting frustrated by this. I can't hit my previous personal goals, and then you're kind of just out at that point mentally. So to me, that's like the main thing. I would really love for them to hone in on that. Other small things would be displacement of rewards, right? So maybe you get a base gladiator mount at 2000 rating, but then you get armor customizations as you climb up through the ranks, with like the best, the shoulders or the helmet at 2400. So like if you want the fully fleshed out mount, you got to get to 2400, but the mount is available for players at a lower level of ranking. So it's a big goal to go after. And then once you get to that goal, and then you're looking like, hey, 2100 is like the tail armor. That's not that hard to get to. I'm going to try to get to 2100, and you've kind of carrot on a stick them better than putting gladiator at 2400 and it's so far away, and people get 1800, get their elite set, and they're like, yeah, that's too far. That's too much effort. I'm not bothering doing that. It's too far away. So, you know, taking the reward and splicing it out, because they've done that with dragon riding, right? Where you can get certain armor pieces, just build the gladiator mounts in that fashion, where you can upgrade them. Maybe you have different colored shoulders also for different PvP brackets. So that way, if you want to climb in BG Blitz, you can get a different coloration of armor to that baseline gladiator mount than if you were doing it in arena, or solo shuffle, even to that extent. So just putting a little bit of extra juice, extra rewards, extending them out over a larger frame to incentivize players to continue pushing through, and then just dialing in on a new ranking system, one that people don't have any expectations behind, and making sure that it stays consistent. Not having one season that's blown out, super inflated, and then the next season dialing that back because it doesn't work with what's going on with the reward structure, because that's what's always caused the biggest drop off. It's caused the biggest problems for PvP. Would be the two things that I would like them to look at and discuss. But obviously there are some new transmogs as well. We are getting lunar events. Transmogs coming in here, so this thing looks absolutely sick. You're like a moon god. The new solar and lunar armor sets, data mine, vestments of the heavens. Vestments of the heavens. I have to get this on my druid, bro, because it's like eclipse. It's like the moon and sun. Like this guy's just radiating out. Looks like an angel demon from Bayonetta or something. And then the moon and the sun on the back, sharing that kind of plate. You can get this kind of more fiery version of this transmog, and then you can get the night version of it, the lunar version of it, which is a little bit more dark, a little bit more mellow as opposed to the other one. And I think it looks sick. I think like I'm definitely going to have to pick this one up for 11.1 on my druid. Hopefully you can wear it as a druid. It looks like it is a cosmetic set, so hopefully it's going to be available to everybody, because otherwise I'm going to be really upset if I can't get this, because this thing looks really sick. But that's it for updates here in today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the discussion, and I will see you guys in the next one.